Justin, great to have you join us for a chat because you've taken the league by storm. You inherit a team at 2-7 and all of a sudden things turn around. But before we get into your coaching, we want to learn a little bit more about you and where you're from. How did you start playing basketball?
I started playing when I was in 8th grade. I was the late bloomer in basketball. I was more of a baseball player, track runner, and football guy. And as I kept playing those sports before basketball, I was starting to stretch out a little bit, so my knees started to hurt. And so I was like, track is not good for me. And then they start throwing curveballs and things like that in baseball, and I couldn't hit that no more. So I was like, get away from that. And my line wouldn't block no more in football. So I was like, I got to find something that, I can fit my way in. So I started basketball when I was in probably 8th grade, 13, 14 years old, and started my journey from there.
And give us a snapshot of your career, where you played at.
I went to high school I started school called Cardinal Ritter, and then transferred to CBC High School, which is a prestigious all-boys school in St. Louis, Missouri. And once I left there, I signed to go to college at St. Louis University, and I did about three years there. And I finished my last year out because I had a knee injury in my end of my senior year, and I finished my last year out at McKendree, which is an NAIA school. And I was able to help that team go to the Final Four. And so experienced all the great college, and then I decided to sign 2 years out in Leeuwarden in the Holland League in Netherlands. So played out there for 2 years and enjoyed that, and came back in 2007 and started my coaching career.
And through those experiences, somehow or other, you wind up in Australia.
Yeah.
How was your pathway to Australia? How did all that happen?
It's a little funny. Our owner, Jared Novelli, who's he's also a graduate of the same high school that I came from, CBC High School, and he's also a graduate from St. Louis University. So we have ties from both of those ends, and I'm really good friends with his younger brother, who's around the same age as me. When he took over the team in maybe 2020 or 2019 or something like that, we had a dinner in 2023, and he was letting me know that he purchased a team, and he was like, hey, I want you to kind of like help me, bring the wedge of like American players and, in the organization in Wollongong to see if we can help bring some players down. So when he got me down in Wollongong and Sydney, he just wowed me with the sights and the people to know and everything. I'm like, man, this is. I said, this is winter time? He's like, yeah, this is winter, and summertime is in this. I'm like, man, this is great. So about a week before I was going to come back home, Jared was like, any interest in maybe, coaching or stuff like that? I'm like, oh, you're going to wait, wow me for 2 weeks, and then you're going to come like, you want to interested in coaching. And so I said, I'll think about it. So I went back home and we thought about it. And, I've been coaching where I was at for 10 years. I've been a high school coach for 16 years. So, and I have established, myself at home. And so, but I wanted, deep down, I always wanted a different journey. I wanted a different challenge. Yeah. And it just kept coming about that Australia. And so I was like, you know what, let me figure something out. And I said, well, Jared, if it's okay with the staff, then I would like to join it, because I want, figure something out differently for myself. Yeah. And he was like, okay. And it got me down here in late July. So that's how he got me down in Australia.
Did you have any preconceived ideas about the country? When we think, we go to the States sometimes and we talk to people that probably don't know a lot about it, and they think there's going to be kangaroos bounding down the streets and we're sort of out in the outback. Were you one of those?
100%. Yes, I was 100% in denial not coming to move to Australia. It's a 20-hour flight from where I'm from. I mean, it's 17 hours difference. I was like, what am I doing? And I was like, yes, have 18 of the most deadliest creatures here. Why am I coming here? And I'm terrified of spiders. So once I seen the huntsman spider, I was like, there's no way I'm coming down there, right? But yes, I did have my preconceived notions about Australia, but I also learned how beautiful it is and everything around it. But when I got there to see it myself, it spoke for itself.
And what about some of the cultural differences, whether it's the language or some of the food? I mean, we're very Americanized in a lot of senses, but did anything stick out to you?
I mean, just how you guys abbreviate everything, So I was like, what is aircon, or what is things like that? I'm like, what are you talking about? Clearly I had to get used to the other side of the road, driving on the other side, and that was pretty difficult for me. when the organization came and picked me up when I moved down here in July, they just gave me a car and said, hey, see you at practice tomorrow. So I'm like, I've never drove on the other side of the road before. So I had to, that night, practice while nobody was else outside because I wanted to make sure I'd be on practice on time. So just things like that. The food I had to get used to. I like bed bugs now. I forgot what they call
Bed bugs.
No, what are you called? Maybad bugs. They look like lobster.
Right. Yeah. Moreton Bay bugs.
Moreton Bay bugs. I like those. Now, the first one I seen, I was like, what the heck is that? But I started getting used to a lot of the foods around here, and I've been enjoying it.
When you think of coaching, it's a challenge. You can go to some really dark places when you're coaching, and can assuming a lot of responsibility for yourself and for the players as well. What is it about you that draw you to coaching?
I just think that, I missed out a lot as a player, or just didn't understand a lot of information because I started so late, or just that at the end of the day, somebody defined me to be in this position, or this is all you need to know as a player. And as I started to evolve as a player, I knew it was more about the game, And so I didn't really get into coaching until I was in Illawarra in Holland when I had downtime from practice, because they had little leagues there, right? And I got a chance to interact with the kids, and I started to like, hey, you do this and do that. And once they look at you and they start listening, I was like, man, this is pretty interesting, right? I wish I would have done that. So that kind of like brought me into it, because of the information that, I wasn't given, which was by choice or by being a late bloomer, and being able to see how I can evolve as a player. So I was like, hey, I want to be able to get my experience out and do the same thing.
It's only been a relatively short stint we've seen you as the head coach in the head coaching position, and you're described as a player's coach. Now, what does that mean?
I think it has a lot of different variables to it. When I first got hired with there, I had a meeting with my guys, and I just laid everything out on the line, kind of how me and you were having a conversation, learning more about me. I openly and candidly told them all about my journey to where I'm at. And so I think that meant a lot to them too, because some of the things that I've been through kind of resonate with what they've been through or about to go through, or et cetera. So, and then I'm a type of guy that, I'm gonna come straight to you for it. How many of you having a conversation right now? So the point to where if this is your craft, you got to respect it.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you what you can and can't do. I'm telling you what we need you to do. And if you're capable of doing that, then let's build from there. And then I'm also the guy, that after a bad game, I'm calling, let's go have a dinner. Like, let's go talk about it. Let's go talk about something else. Or, let's just go sit down and talk about non-basketball, what you got going on in your family. So it's different variables with me, because I think that's more meaningful than me directing you or fussing at you or expecting you to do something all the time and can't relate to you off the court.
When I watch you coach, I get a perception about the way you go about it, both with the way your team plays, but also your demeanour and your personality on the sidelines. But then I read about some of the other stuff with you as a high school coach, and they don't seem to marry up. It seems like there was this guy that you described as pretty dictatorial and very, very demanding. But then I see you on the sidelines and all the players, he's a player's coach, and you seem pretty laid back. Has there been a transition, a change, or is it just that the narrative was wrong?
Probably a little bit of both. But I think I had a transition from the high school guys where I'm dealing with parents and kids who feel that they're know-it-all because they did great in 8th grade and stuff like that, and they're going to do the same thing in high school, to where now somebody's who's feeding their family, taking care of their family, and has been doing something for so long, they understand how to adjust. So it's been, and maybe some truth about it, and then everybody paints whatever picture they want unless you're really, inside the circle. But it definitely has a transition for me to be more calmer with these guys, older, or being able to relate and talk to them differently than trying to demand something out of a young teenager.
It can be a brutal industry, and you've seen it firsthand. Here you are, you're a loyal servant to Jacob Jackamus, who things are just not going right. And I think we all know that anyone who's been around coaching, you just can't put it on the one guy. But what was it like coming into a situation where things aren't going well? Did you have to have some frank conversations with the head coach at the time?
No. We just, as a group, where we were just trying to figure out ways to, stop the madness of losing, or stop the madness of competing, or whatever we were doing to not win games. We all gave our certain perceptions and ideas to try to enhance it, and At the end of the day, the coach is going to make the final decision. But we were all collectively trying to find a way to, disengage the losing streaks that we were on.
Was it frustrating for you on the sidelines, and not just because you're losing, but you might be able to see things that maybe weren't being implemented?
100%, 100%. But I mean, I didn't never use my frustration and say, hey, I could do better, I can do better. I'm going to voice my opinions of what I feel that this group needs to do at all times. So, but yeah, it's always frustrating to lose, man. Especially I haven't been part of it when it was 3-25, but I can see it building back into that mode, and we didn't want to do that. So I mean, but it was a tough time, but we figured it out.
You hadn't been around the league a lot, and I don't know what sort of research you'd done into the competition and all the different players. But when you're there and you're 2-7, and they hand you the keys to the car, did you think you had the Lamborghini, or did you think you had the beat-up 1978 Commodore that just was going to have to struggle its way through?
I think I had the Commodore, but with the Lamborghini parts right next to it.
Right.
So I just had to find a way to put them together. I knew from the beginning when this team was developed that we had a really good team. And when I watched them practice for the first time when we all got here in August, I was like, man, if this is not the best team in the league, I don't know what is. The guys are making shots. They're tall. This and this, because it's my first time over. I didn't see anybody else besides, watching game film. And then I was like, then the continuity wasn't there. You know what I mean? It wasn't, when we started to play after the Gold Coast, the Blitz, we had a good stint, 2-1 or something out of that. And after that, it was just, back to our selfish ways at times. And so I was like, what's going on? We have too much talent for us not to be competing in games for 40 minutes. So I had a beat-up Commodore with the Lamborghini parts right next to it. I just had to find a way to put them together.
And what was the first thing you had to do, you felt, when you're taking over the team? Was it a structural thing? Was it a confidence thing? I suppose it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But what was the priority?
Well, first priority, just explain to everybody what's going to happen from now, and then we had to give our intangibles, or like we had to go back to our principles, like what are we going to do defensively, what are we going to do offensively, what lane are certain guys going to stay in, and what certain guys have to give up. If it's the extra shots that you think you're taking that is we benefit off of, which we're not, rebounds, lack of rebounds you may or may not get. And so it was certain things I was challenging certain individuals as a collective. And so we started with our base defense first. So I mean, I'm a defensive guy. I don't like guys just clearly scoring on us all the time and doing all the little antics after they do that. I want to make everything difficult for somebody, right? So but we just had to get our defensive principles first.
And you also had to, I assume, have some frank conversation with some of the players, because you did make some changes to the rotations.
I did, and that was, once again, when I came in as an assistant coach, I did my job as far as got a chance to know each person personally, or something about them personally. So I never knew I was going to take over when I did, but I kind of I want to get to know the guys just outside of basketball. And so when I did take over, and those conversations were much easier. So now I'm like, hey, we might have to bring you off the bench, or you might have to take less shots, or you might have to step your rebounding up. So it was certain things that it was easier to talk to the guys, because I got a chance to meet them prior than I took over.
And what about the community? Because we think of the Illawarra, it's working class. It's had some challenges over the years. It's been on life support a lot, but it was there. It was a foundation club back in 1979, and it's still hanging on. Do you get a sense of responsibility of where the franchise is right now, and how it can teeter one way or the other?
I do. I'm starting to get that responsibility to see how this town could be back to where it used to be when it won in 2001 or 2002, I believe. So, I mean, I felt the energy, in these last 5 to 7 home games of everybody coming back and enjoying the team playing at the highest level. And even outside of the gym, that the fans are enjoying the guys, or myself when we walk around. I feel that we are responsible to bring the life back to the longest tenure NBL team. So it's there for the taking. So why not be Illawarra? I know it's a small market, but hey, we got some big dogs around here.
No, you certainly do. And now you've put yourself in. You finish in the top 4. That would have seemed a millennium away back when you're 2-7. Yeah. But talk to us about the belief in this team and what potential it might have in the next few weeks.
It's a high belief. Our energy is way through the roof. I mean, the practice is going great. I mean, guys are having team dinners without even scheduled on on our schedule. So, I mean, I just love the continuity of these guys right now. They believe. So, I mean, I told him we can find a way to make history around here. I'm not sure how many groups have went 3-25 last year or started this and, you know, had all the ups and turmoils, but we're here and we're in the top 4 now. So why not keep going? So our belief is through the roof.
And what you're doing here, is this part of a bigger goal? Would the ultimate for you to be coming here, maybe pick up a championship or 2 and continue to do your thing, and then go back to the States and continue coaching back there?
Yeah, for sure. I'm very interested in maybe seeing where my level can take me, and this is a great start for me. If I'm able to, you know, sit on the NBA bench, I'm gonna definitely do my goal to, you know, take that opportunity. But right now, you know, as I'm over here trying to flourish in the NBL, I just keep building my resume and my understanding of the game as a professional coach is what I'm willing to do.
And if you don't mind, can we ask you about your son and talk about your son? Because we're talking about arguably one of the top few players in the world right now, and sitting back and watching him, he's a delight to watch, both the way in which he plays, but his demeanour, his interaction with his teammates. It's just a beautiful thing to watch. Growing up, and as you trying to be a mentor to him, what were the keys, do you think, for the way in which you built your relationship with him?
Just the keys of I wanted to make sure he had that, to be able to fight through adversity and toughness, because that's one of the things that, as a basketball player myself, coming up with injuries or just people didn't give me a chance in here, like, you know, that kind of, you know, demoralized me a little bit, and my confidence as far as as a player, like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, and I didn't really have, you know, how to fight through it. And I just wanted to make sure that, let him know, as you're going to keep playing this game, you're going to have to fight through adversity. If it's, you know, people don't trust you or believe in you, injuries, God forbid, or whatever it is, I wanted to make sure he understood that. So it was a lot of tactics that we worked on, or things that I've challenged him with, to become a more tougher physically, but more mentally stronger, and understand that you can make your own path. You just got to go a different way.
And being a high school coach, if it's anything like coaching junior basketball, which I did here, the biggest problem you've got is dealing with the parents.
100%.
Oh my goodness.
100%.
They all think that they've got the next Jason Tatum coming up.
Tell me about it.
You actually did. When you think back to when you were being a dad to him as a basketball coach, how do you feel you handled that? Do you have any things you would have done differently?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just the amount of pressure and the challenges that I pushed him through, I probably would have done differently. But then again, I don't think so, because I don't think he'll be where he's sustained at right now if he wouldn't be able to fight through some of the things that, you know, I was able to put him through. So, but as a basketball player, parent, you know, I always coached him. You know, I coached him his whole life until about 8th or 9th grade, and so I was able to, you know, block that parent out. I was just more of a competitive dad, and knowing what you have to, the tangibles that you have to get where you want to. And like I said, in the beginning, me and his mom never considered, you know, NBA or stuff like that. We was always worried about, we want you to go to college for free. We don't want to pay, you know, anything for that. So, and, you know, as he started exploring, getting taller and taller, and really locking in on his skill set, and, you know, once he made it to the USA 15 and under, and they said, hey, if you're in this room, that you're one day going to probably be in the NBA. And that was all they needed to tell him. His light switched on from there. And all the stuff that we had prepared him for, he just took all that and soaked it in and just done his thing.
What was it like on the sidelines when you're coaching your team in high school and you're coaching against your son who's playing on the other team?
Yeah.
How was that?
It sucked. It sucked, especially the first time. The first time it happened, it was, you know, being across from him and just watching him play against me. It was tough. And, you know, then it was tough to prepare your team the next day about your kid. And, you know, my team is laughing at me like, Coach, how weird is this? You're over here talking about how to guard your son. But just seeing him after I was able to beat him the first one and only time, the first time that we played each other, I beat him. And then after that, I lost every other game because he was like, I'm never losing to you again. So, but it was a great experience. I mean, we brought the city together when it was the Tatum duels, and we weren't able to play our games at our high school. We had to go to Lindenwood or other schools to play our games, and it was just excitement, and then but when we got home, because normally every day we talk, and so the day we play each other, we don't talk that whole day until his name is announced as the starting five. And that's the first time that we say something to each other, and he'll whisper something smacked in my ear or whatever, and I'll say the same thing. But it was tough, but it was fun as well.
All right, here's a dilemma for you. What's more important to you, the Hawks winning an NBL title or Jason winning a title with the Celtics?
Oh, really? It's definitely Jason with the Celtics. Man, he's been working his butt off, for the last 7 years to try to get one while he's in the league. But the Hawks we're right behind it. So I think that we're both trying to win one together this year. So and be able to celebrate it.
No, and is he into it now? Is he into the NBL? Is he into the Illawarra Hawks?
Yeah, he always asks me, how you do? What happened? Who played well? And he got a chance to, when we win a game, he'll repost it on his IG because he's really happy for me what I'm doing because he understands that how I've changed programs or how I help encourage young men coming all up and including himself. So he's very supportive of it.
It is a remarkable thing to take a team that's in the doldrums 2-7.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic having you in the competition. It's been great to see the work that you've done with the Illawarra Hawks. And who knows, this fairy tale may have an unbelievable ending. And I'm sure, I think every neutral fan, when their team falls out of it, they're going to be rooting for you and the Illawarra Hawks because it's an amazing story. Congratulations. And maybe we get your son to come down. I don't know whether the Illawarra Hawks budget extends to getting him down here.
I told him it's 90 miles of beaches down there, man. Come on to come spend a couple of days with me.
Well, congratulations with him. Hopefully it gives you great joy following him.
It does.
And we look forward to continuing and watching this amazing story unfold.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, bro.
You're a good man.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.